I just want to sort of bring it back to the original question just for a minute, because I know that there's a lot of like political junkies in the audience that probably know everything there is to know about the legislature, but there may be some people that don't know a whole lot about the structure. So I need everyone to keep in mind we meet once every other year for 140 days, and that's it. We cannot vote on anything the first 60 days. That's in the Constitution. So as Ms. T, as we refer to her in the House, as Ms. T explained, we work very quickly, but in the beginning it's very, very slow, and we're basically just trying to feel each other out and get to know all the new freshmen, and trying to confuse them about how to get to the floor. and committees are forming, and in the House we elect a speaker, and I fully anticipate that Joe Strauss will continue to be our speaker in the next session, and he makes all the committee assignments, and that takes about 5 or 6 weeks typically, from swearing in, sometimes a little bit longer. You hear a lot of people complaining why aren't you doing anything, but then by the end of session, when the Senate bills are flying over to the House, everyone's like, slow down, you're going too fast. But we are also volunteers in the sense that we say it's a part-time job. We all have full-time jobs. I'm a practicing attorney. I know Ms. T is as well. And we get paid $7,200 a year for the privilege of being your state representative. So that's $600 a month before taxes. So that's $12 a day, as Ms. T is paid. So we definitely don't do this because we're trying to make money. We do this because we're passionate about public service and wanting to be able to be a voice for the districts that we represent. And I have to agree with Ms. T that the House is the responsible chamber.
And she's not talking about me.
I am absolutely not talking about our fine senator, but we really, I think, are kind of the workhorse. I think the senators like to pass 30 bills and then hold press conferences and kick them over to the House, and then we sort through what they've done. And I think the House is really proud to do that work. And I will say that as represented here, you have Republicans and Democrats. And in today's very divisive politics, you may think like all Republicans hate all Democrats and all Democrats hate all Republicans. And that is not true, and it is especially not true in Texas, in the Texas legislature. I think we have a very rich history of working together, crossing party lines. We don't organize on the floor of the House, for instance, by party. It's not ours on one side, D's on the other. And most of us recognize that the best legislation is legislation that we pass that has Republicans and Democrat names on those bills. And so we make a lot of effort in the House to really be a unified body. We can't control everybody. There's always some on both ends of the spectrum that are, want to have their own agenda. But I think you all should be proud to be living in a state whose legislature does really go, at least in the House, very far to try and work together and treat each other with civility and friendship and compassion, as opposed to what you may hear on the news or read in the newspaper every day.
Thank you. So this is a very straightforward question, and I forgot to say most of our questions have arrived from social media, and then we will open the floor up for hopefully the remaining of our forum today, where you can get direct questions from the audience. Why does it seem like our state leadership target our transgender brothers and sisters? And how can we better educate our elected officials and the community at large? And again, this is open for...
Well, I just think it's regrettable that our leadership, particularly in the Senate, since he's already announced his priorities, the lieutenant governor has made the bathroom issue like the cornerstone and wants to hear it first to make sure that there's no delays or citizen filibusters or filibusters of any kind. His focus is on bathrooms instead of classrooms. And that is what's so tragic because, as Ferguson and Thompson mentioned, education is such a huge priority. We should be putting dollars into education, not border security. We should be doing more things to address all the human needs that are desperately being unaddressed in Texas. when you look at what's going on with CPS, I sat through 3 hours of hearings that the Department of Education had on special needs kids and how Texas isn't doing right by these kids. When we hear more and more stories of a lot of people suffering from not getting medical attention, you wonder, I mean, who really in their right mind would want to get the dollars that we need for Medicaid? But no, he'd rather target a group. And I'm not sure, I mean, I've stretched my mind to kind of even try to intellectually understand why he's decided this is such a big issue. But I can't find it. I mean, I just can't find it. It makes no sense. It's a huge distraction, but it is nothing but a good political hot button issue for the Republican Party, the primary base, and that's all it is. So all I can tell you is that we're going to fight like hell. Y'all are going to need to be seen. You're going to need to be heard, because it's all of us. It's not just the transgender community that's being hurt by this. This is part of the continuing struggle. Again, I'm going to borrow from Ms. T's. See, there is wisdom of the house, is there? What she said, it's part of the ongoing civil rights struggle. I mean, if they hurt people, no matter who they are, what race, what gender, what identity, what sex, it hurts all of us. And to me, that is not Texas. Texas is about being a great independent state. Texas is about recognizing individual rights. Texas is about respect and dignity. Texas is about treating people equally and fair. What they're doing in targeting transgender children especially is just inhumane. It's just plain inhumane. We'll fight it.
And let me just add that the business community is up in arms against this bathroom bill. I don't think it's going anywhere. It's just going to be a tool that they can use to try to manipulate people into voting one way or the other. But what I am proud of is more and more Republicans are becoming independent from those little niches that entered into their political process and want to hold them hostage on certain issues, particularly issues like this, that is a wedge issue. And I think we're going to be victorious. We just can't let them use that in order to get other things done that would be equally as detrimental. That is the key.
What are examples of other things that are equally detrimental?
Okay, vouchers. Because if you take money from the public school who's already struggling for money, lack of money, and give it to somebody because you say, well, we have this poor African American lady out here with this child over here who ought to be in a better school. And we've been fighting for better schools since Stone Age. I mean, how many sisters that make? You take it really, you Robert Peter for Paul. We really have issues like trying to really address the Medicaid, Medicare issues and things of that nature. And thank God for Sarah Davis on appropriations, because she's able to do a lot of things that help the state of Texas as a whole, particularly in areas we have high mortality rate among certain ethnic groups within our state. I'm cold up here, y'all. I'm not trembling because I'm old, y'all. I'm almost about to ask for a drink of alcohol. I'm cold. It's cold in here. I don't know how y'all feel, but it's cold. I'm not even having my glass up there. But those are the kind of things that I'm talking about. And things that really need, like, we have to figure out how we're going to get more money into the public, into transportation and public transportation, and being able to get more people around, and you being sidetracked with toilets. We've been having unisex toilets since Stone Age. Nobody's having a problem. And do you think I'm going to go in the restroom stall and peep over and see who's over the dumpster stall? I ain't got time. I'm in there to get my business. My friend, Mr. Tillenhouse over here, he campaigned for me my very first election.
I'd like to add in on that second part of the question, which was how can we better educate lawmakers. I think here in the Houston area, especially because of the HERO campaign, we saw a lot of just bad information being spread. If it wasn't completely false, it was either outdated or fake news. We've been hearing a lot about it lately, but we saw a lot of that in Houston. And so how we can better educate lawmakers, and I'm saying this also from TAB, but also as a former staffer to a senator, is give them just the facts. Don't get into emotional issues with them, especially if it's people that don't always align with you. If you can just give them the facts about what's really going on in your community and your city and your neighborhood, that's going to get their attention, and then they can use that information on your behalf easier. A good example is our studies just recently showed that if Texas were to pass this discriminatory type of legislation that North Carolina saw, we can be losing up to $8.5 billion a year. That's an outstanding number. And so we need to start asking our legislators to not just look at the social end, but also look at the economic end as well. And that's why the business community is beginning to really get behind y'all and trying to form partnerships and relationships so that we can all be successful.